Are you overwhelmed with debt with no way out? Bankruptcy can give a fresh start and a positive future, and it is easier than you think. This video gives you a chance to see what a bankruptcy consultation is like and to learn some of the basics of bankruptcy.
I'm John Hicks, and I'm a bankruptcy attorney in Arlington, Texas, and I'm here today to discuss bankruptcy with you and do a mock interview. We hope that the mock interview will give you information about bankruptcy and will help you understand what your first interview would be like. My legal assistant Lori is here to help me.
Hello.
Well, tell me what has got you in here to see me today.
Well, my husband has lost his job and we have a lot of debt. We don't want to lose our house, and we're just, sort of panicking. We don't know what we're going to do with joblessness and, all this debt amassing. We're just, using our credit cards to live,
All right. How many are in your family?
4.
And what's your current family income?
Well, I'm still working, but it's not very much. It's only about $3,000, $3,500 a month.
Have you guys filed bankruptcy before?
No, we have not.
Well, you can file under Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Your income is such that you're below the median income and can do a Chapter 7.
Well, what is the difference between the Chapter 7 and Chapter 13? I don't even know what the difference is.
Chapter 7 is for people who have lots of unsecured debt, meaning credit cards, medical debt, loans, payday loans, and are just over their head in debt.
And Chapter 13?
Chapter 13 is for people who have steady income, want to pay some or all of what they owe over 3 to 5 years in a Chapter 13 plan.
Okay.
It's a court-ordered debt repayment plan.
Okay, so we basically just consolidate. It's kind of like a consolidation. We consolidate all our debts and then pay the trustee, and then they pay our debts for us.
That's correct.
And how long does that take, did you say?
That's 3 to 5 years to do a Chapter 13.
And about how long does it take for a Chapter 7?
Chapter 7's over in about 4.5 months, so
Okay.
it's much quicker.
Now, if I want to keep my house and keep my cars, how does that work with a Chapter 7?
Well, in a Chapter 7, you have to continue to make your payments in order to keep your house and your car. It's the same in a Chapter 13. However, a Chapter 7 doesn't help you if you're behind on your house payments and need help catching up.
Oh, so we have to be current in order to do that.
Well, you don't have to be current, but you will lose your house if you don't make the payments on it.
Okay, so you basically have to keep paying for your house if you want to keep it. You've got to get current and stay current in order to keep it.
Yes. Some people, though, have gotten behind on their mortgage for several months, and for them, a Chapter 13 works best because they're able to pay back what their arrearage is, what they owe now to the mortgage company over a period of 3 to 5 years, as opposed to trying to pay it all right now.
Okay. Now, I don't want to lose my house, and there's, they've been sending me nasty letters, about it going into foreclosure. Do they equally save my home, or is one better than the other?
Chapter 13 is much better if you want to save your home from foreclosure. How many months behind are you?
About 3 or 4.
Okay, if you're 3 or 4 months behind, you're probably going to need to do a Chapter 13 so that you have time to catch up on your mortgage payment. In a Chapter 7, you also get some time because the automatic stay goes into effect whenever you file either type of bankruptcy, and that keeps your creditors at bay for a period of time.
Okay, so a stay means what exactly?
The automatic stay is an order from the bankruptcy court that says that your creditors can't try to collect from you.
Oh.
They have to get court approval to do any kind of collection, including foreclosure.
Oh, so they can't call me either?
They can't call you either. They have to stop.
Okay, so everything has to stop during that period of time.
Yes, it stops the creditor harassment and gives you some peace of mind.
How long does it take for that to kick in?
It kicks in immediately when you file.
Okay, so just right then that day.
That day,
I can start telling them to stop calling me.
Yes, we'll give you your case number and where you filed, and you give that information to your creditors when they call you, and they'll put it into their system and stop calling you.
Okay. Okay, so how long does it take to file a bankruptcy?
Well, it can be a very short period of time if it's an emergency. Otherwise, we need a little more time to process your case if it's not an emergency. I need a list of your creditors, and you have to take a credit counseling course prior to filing.
Oh, is that required by the state or something?
Yeah, it's required by the new bankruptcy law that you take a credit counseling course, which you can take over the internet and costs about $40.
Okay. All right, well, I noticed that you have a bunch of sheets here that says bankruptcy worksheets. What exactly is this about?
Well, in order for us to prepare your bankruptcy, we need a lot of information from you. Bankruptcy is a full disclosure process, and the worksheets we have require you to give us things like what your property is, what your income is, what your expenses are, and most importantly, what your debts are, who you owe money, a good address for them, and an amount.
And if this seems a little bit overwhelming, I understand that y'all will help us.
Yes, we'll sit down and go over it with you so that you understand the forms, and we'll help you fill it out to some extent. Most people can, after they've had it reviewed with us, are able to fill it out without any problems.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward and user-friendly. Okay, so what advantage does your firm have over other firms? Why should I come here instead of somewhere else?
Well, we're a small firm. There's just 3 of us here working in the office, and you'll get a lot more personal attention than you would at a larger firm.
I also found it was a little bit unusual that you're meeting with me directly.
I always meet with my clients directly for their initial interview. I think it's very important that they actually know their lawyer, and that their lawyer actually show up for their court appearances, because other firms will use a stand-in that you've never met, which I've always thought was an awkward and uncomfortable situation.
Well, I certainly would appreciate it if you're there. Now, something was said about a 341 meeting. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you have a meeting of creditors that you have to attend, whether you do a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13.
That sounds kind of scary, is it?
It's not a scary thing at all. It's a meeting with the trustee that's the check in the system. They go over your paperwork, they put you under oath, and they ask you questions.
About how long does that take?
It takes 5 to 10 minutes. You may have to wait 30 minutes for your 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
You have to bring your driver's license and your social security card, because they'll check that at each of the meetings.
Okay. And I also noticed that in this packet that you gave me, that you're very helpful in that you tell me what are hot action items so that I can really be aware of things that timelines and what I need to do at a certain time.
Yeah, my legal assistant likes her hot action items so that you know exactly what you need and when you need to have it.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody knows where they need to be, what they need to be doing, at what time, so that there's no miscommunication.
Our website, hicksonlawfirm.com, has a roadmap on it that leads through every step of the process. And we ask people to print that out and follow along as they go through the bankruptcy process.
Yes, there's both a bankruptcy roadmap for Chapter 7 and also for Chapter 13. And it's very informative so that you don't have a blindfold when you're going through this. We actually go through it hand in hand. So, what else on the blue sheet do we need to cover, do you think?
Well, we cover in the interview how much secured debt they have, how much unsecured debt they have.
And again, what is secured and unsecured?
A secured debt is where you put up collateral. You have a car note where you pledge the car as collateral for your payments. Your house is a secured debt. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll have a furniture account that's in a secured debt.
Okay, how would I know if it is or it isn't?
Well, we'd have to look at your agreements. If you're making payments on something that you bought that's a hard asset, most of the time it's a secured debt.
And that's something you would help me with?
Yeah, that's something we'll review your paperwork with you.
Okay, all right, and? What else? Oh, and then an unsecured would be like a credit card or something like
Yeah,
that?
unsecured is your credit cards, your medical debts, your payday loans, your personal loans,
Okay.
where you
Alright.
didn't put up collateral.
Okay.
Then we would ask you about what your property is. Do you have a homestead? Do you have equity in it? Do you have an auto? And who you owe to, and what your payments are. And very importantly, whether you want to keep the vehicle. If you want to keep the vehicle, you're going to need to continue to make the payments. But sometimes people are bad upside down in a vehicle that need to get out of it, or they have a repossession on their record and they need to discharge that repossession that they owe.
And that would all be included.
That would all be included in their bankruptcy, whether it's a 7 or a 13.
Okay. So if I owe on a car that's just ridiculous amounts of money, I can actually include that in the bankruptcy, or it would be included in the bankruptcy, and then I can just let that car go back, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
You can let the car go back without having to worry about still owing on it for the deficiency when it's sold.
And that's in a Chapter 13, or is that in a Chapter 7?
That's in a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 that you abandon the property and decide not to keep it.
Okay.
A good thing about bankruptcy over debt forgiveness is that if you have a settlement of an account and you think you got a really good deal because they forgave $15,000 or $20,000 of what you owed on it, sometimes they'll turn around and send you a 1099 for that income of the amount that they wrote off. It's called forgiveness of debt.
Mm.
So you could have an additional $20,000 of income, which could give you a great big tax liability.
Mm.
You don't have forgiveness of debt when you do a bankruptcy because the debt's not forgiven.
So is that like getting a loan modified opposed to bankruptcy? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not a loan modification. It's where they write off the debt.
Oh, okay. How would I know that they've done that?
Well, a lot of times you will have settled a debt or they have written it off and they just send you a 1099.
And that's how I would know that I'm in trouble.
That's how you know that you're in trouble. It's best to do your bankruptcy and get that cleaned out before you have it, because you might still get stuck with it.
Well, when's the best time to do this? I mean, right now we're just sort of going along doing the same thing, getting more and more in debt, but I mean, is there a certain amount of time that I need to take care of this, or what about my house? I mean, should I wait, or?
It depends on the person's individual situation. That's why we would meet and sit down and go over their particular situation to decide when the timing's right, or whether bankruptcy was right for you at all. That's the purpose of the initial
So you would
interview.
actually tell me if I didn't need to do it right now, or?
I would.
Okay, because that's good to know. Now, in order to, I mean, I've heard of my friends, like they waited till their house was nearly foreclosed, or they were going to sell it on the steps of the courthouse. I mean, is that too late, or?
You can file bankruptcy and stop a foreclosure if you file it before the foreclosure sale. But it's not a good thing to wait till the day before the foreclosure sale, because too many things can happen. So you need to get in here before then and let us actually counsel you, and I give you time to take the credit counseling course and make an informed decision.
So it sounds like the earlier the better,
The earlier the better.
because then I can come up with a plan and actually have a little bit more control over the situation.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. And I understand that your website is,
HixsonLawFirm.com.
and that's with an X and an S.
Yes, it's HIXSON lawfirm.com.
Yes, and there's lots of informative information on there. And we also talk about our price guarantee.
Yes, we have a low price guarantee so that you're not going to pay more than you would with another attorney.
And why do you do that?
Do that because I can be price competitive with any attorney, because I'm a small firm with just 3 of us here. We're able to be competitive in our pricing.
And you may not say this, but I'll say it, that actually it's because you are a faith-based person and that you're actually trying to be as fair as possible to people when they're really in their time of need.
Yeah, they are in their time of need, and we do want to be fair with them, and we're fair with them throughout the process.
As well as letting them pay things out where other attorneys won't let you.
Yes, I do payouts. A lot of firms don't do payouts.
They actually require all the money up front, as a
That's
matter of fact.
correct.
Yeah, and so we actually help our folks and let them pay out the balance of what is owed. Now, that comes to a good question in that how much do I need to file initially?
Generally, the retainer, in order to actually file, is $800.
And what is that comprised of?
That's comprised of $500 in attorney's fees and $300 of filing fees that go to the court.
Okay, so that's actually what the state of Texas or the court charges.
Yeah, that's what the federal court charges to do a Chapter 7 is $300.
Okay, what about Chapter 13?
For Chapter 13, it's $274. We charge $300 because there's a great deal of mailing that goes on in a Chapter 13.
Okay, so I need to get started, I need $800.
That's correct.
And then you'll let me pay out the balance of that.
I'll let you pay out the balance in a Chapter 7. In a Chapter 13, your plan payment pays the balance of your attorney's
So
fee.
you're folded into that.
We're all folded into that.
Okay. So the best thing to do then is for folks that are in distress financially to go ahead and make an appointment and come in and sit down with you personally and find out really where they're at.
Yes, they need to come in and they have a free consultation. It'll take 45 minutes to an hour for us to go over their financial situation and just discuss bankruptcy in more detail.
And what all do I need to bring with me?
Really, you don't have to bring anything with you. You do need to have a good idea of what you owe, who you owe it to, and what your property is. And
Okay.
most people know that pretty well.
If not, then just grab my bills and
You can
bring them
bring your
with.
bills. We generally will pull a credit report for people who need help in determining who they owe, and that'll give them a real good starting point in putting down their creditors.
Okay. And you will help me with all of this along the way.
We'll be with you every step of the way.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
I have to give the legal disclaimers.
Okay.
Okay, as a bankruptcy lawyer, I'm a debt relief agency. This video is not meant to give you legal advice. We do that personally, and it may not fit your actual circumstance. So we ask that you come see us and visit us and get your own personal advice. Thank you.
You can get a fresh start and have a positive future, and it is easier than you think. Call 817-261-8419 to get your free personal consultation with John Hickson, or for more information, visit www.hicksonlawfirm.com today.